What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Tampa Bay Real Producers Podcast. This, of course, is the podcast that is made for real producers, by real producers, and with none other than Tampa Bay's real producers. And today we get to continue our sponsor series, our partner series with Tampa Bay Real Producers, and that's with none other than Mr. Frank Coto. How you doing, Frank the Bank?
Doing great, Don. How are you, man? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. It's a beautiful day. Finally, the weather has turned, I feel like. The sun is out, the sky is blue, the birds are chirping, things are looking good out there. And we have Frank the Bank here talking today. He's the owner of Lincoln Lending. Many of you, I think, probably are aware of Frank. He's everywhere. All you got to do is turn your phone on and he'll pop up somewhere, his smiling face. But Frank and Lincoln Lending have been a partner now with Real Producers for over the last year and a half or so. And we've loved working with Frank. He offers a lot of great programs for agents out there in the community. And so we're going to dive into some of that now. But let's start first, Frank, for people who might not know you as well, with just your background. So,
sure, Don.
How'd you get to Tampa? How'd you eventually fall in love with the money business? We'll start there.
Well, I got to Tampa via a stork. So a stork just came in with this little package and brought me right into my mother's arms at Women's Hospital. Here. I am a fourth generation tampon.
I don't think I remembered that.
I can't believe you didn't know that. Yeah. No, that's good. Fourth generation tampon, like I like to say. My family on my dad's side grew up in Ybor City. My mom's side on the north side of Tampa. Love this city. It is. It's actually Coto actually comes from the Coto mountain region in northern Spain near Portugal.
Okay.
And they immigrated through a pretty typical immigration route, which was Spain, Cuba, Key West, Tampa.
Gotcha.
And it's funny, my mom's side is actually Sebastian, so they're from Spain as well. So both sides of my family came from Spain, but then part of, I think it was my great grandparents were from Cuba. One of them was from Cuba.
Okay.
But we still had roots in Tampa for fourth generations. And
a lot of Cuban roots around here, man. A lot of cigar rolling over the years.
Speaking of that, a little cafe con leche. My grandmother on my dad's side rolled cigars for Have a Tampa Cigar Company for 45 years.
Wow.
45 years. So
those are the OGs right there.
That is the real OGs. I think we only have one cigar factory left in Tampa. I think J.C. Newman is the last actual active cigar factory. And we were the number one place for cigars in the entire world.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Tampa was known for it for many years.
Absolutely was. But yeah, so born and raised here in Tampa. Went to Tampa Jesuit High School. Shout out to the Tigers. Hopefully my son will be there next year.
Nice.
Florida State University.
What's your son's name?
Landon
Coto.
That's right. You hear that, Jesuit? Landon Coto.
Shout out to Jesuit. Come on, pay attention to Landon.
Come on, guys. Come on. Actually, we find out here in just a few weeks.
Nice.
So hopefully that alumni status sticks in there. But yeah, and then Florida State University, came back, married my high school sweetheart, wife and 2 kids. Shout out to Lily. I won't leave you out there,
What's
Lily.
poppin', Lily?
That's right.
I don't know how you put up with this guy, but God bless you.
She's on a little field trip right now. So
nice.
Texting me from the field trip.
Did you build my vanity? She gets away.
That's exactly what she does. Right?
That's the secret.
I tell my wife to do it, but she never does.
I know. I feel your pain. I try to do the same with mine.
You're like, honey, why don't you go on vacations? I don't know.
Exactly.
Because they love us so much, Don.
Yeah, that must be it. Yeah, I don't know about that. But
I think your eyes rolled past your head on that one.
No doubt.
Yeah. So then, got Florida State, communications and sociology, came out and started Lincoln Lending Group in 2003 with a couple partners and bought them out in 2007.
Have you always been an entrepreneur? Was that always the goal even from school, or was this your first venture into entrepreneurship?
No. My first job was selling baseball cards at Tampa Bay Mall.
Okay.
And then I went around to all places with this guy, selling them all around the country. So I learned how to sell at an early age.
Nice.
And then I was that guy that would sell stuff in high school, magazines or candy or something like that. I had something in my backpack to make $1 on, and got into the mortgage business, and that was, it happened in early 2000s, so it was a good time to get in.
It's a booming time, right?
Yeah.
Did you have a mentor that kind of got you into it, or what was it? Did you already have your eye on the whole money side of things?
Yeah. I was actually going to go into radio and TV. That was my whole game. And quick story, one of my favorite professors at Florida State, right before I left, I told him what I wanted to do, and he goes, "Man, you would be great for that." He goes, "But you know what that won't make you?" I'm like, "What?" "A lot of money." And he knew me well, and he knew I wanted to move back to Tampa, and I was very ambitious. I wanted to make some money. And he literally told me, well, you're going to go around the country at the tiniest little markets. You're going to make nothing.
Yeah.
He said some things I won't say on the air to me, but said that how it really works in that industry, and said maybe in 20 years you make it back to Tampa, because Tampa's a big market.
Right.
You know, we're like number 13, like on 970, for example. And I said, man, I just don't like that idea. And a fraternity brother of mine went to Tampa looking for a job, and he found out he couldn't find what he wanted here. And so he asked me if we had any connections, and I introduced him to Paul Urbanski. So I will give, you asked if I had a mentor. That is the guy who got me into mortgages.
That was your boy.
Paul Urbanski at Avail Mortgage. He's still around here in town. Great family. And Paul actually kind of, did that old proverbial kick me out of the nest. I went to him, myself, Nick, and Dan went to him in like 2000, I think it was about 2003. I got in the business in 2000, about 2002 or 3, and said, man, we need a processor. We need another computer. We need this and this. And he's like, that's really not my game right now. He goes, but if that's what you want, maybe you guys should just start your own company.
Yeah.
And I'm like looking at my boss like, you're telling me to leave you and go start a company.
Kicking me out, huh?
Yeah. So Nick and Dan and I started Lincoln Lending Group. And funny story is, I bought both of them out by 2007.
Nice.
And you remember what happened in 2008?
Yeah, that was an interesting year.
Yeah. Great time to buy a mortgage company.
A little bit of a crash.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a crash.
But that's cool that so many people probably went under, right? Right around that time. And you obviously, through, I would think, perseverance and hard work, figured out a way to get through, right?
Definitely. Well, buying out your partners and having all the money instead of splitting it by 3 probably helped a lot. I don't think it'd be around. But yeah, in 2010, I remember standing on top of the mountain and looking around, and everybody hated mortgage brokers, they hated bankers, they hated realtors, so I had to find something to differentiate us. And that's when we went with this whole no fee model. And it really, really took off and worked. And we started working with real estate agents again. And now we've been in business 20 years.
Yeah, man. Congrats.
Thank you,
I know in the industry, you see people come and go. And so to be even in business as long as you have is a testament to just the good programs you have, you as a business owner. And so, again, we're honored to have you as a partner, too, at Tampa Bay Real Producers. So let's talk a little bit about some of the things that you do with your brand to serve the agent community that's out there, because I know you're involved with a lot of things, including media. So you didn't completely step away from some of the media interests that you had. You run your own radio show. You've been on multiple podcasts. You had your own podcast. I think you still do.
Yeah, 3 podcasts and a radio show.
Yeah, so you keep yourself busy with all that stuff.
The only difference is I don't get paid to do it. I have to pay to do it now.
Maybe one day you can monetize it. Who knows, right?
Hey, the professor was right.
That's right. Yeah, they usually are.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about, in your experience, 20 plus years in the business, what has been some distinctions, Frank, that you've noticed between working with the top producers and the agents that actually seem to get it versus most of the agents, right, that are out there? We all know there's a lot of agents out there that might not quite get it. So what are some of those kind of best practices or distinctions that you've noticed in your time between those two parties?
So I had a big annual kickoff meeting with the entire Lincoln Lending Group staff yesterday. I'm standing there in front of all 30 people. And one thing I said to them, which I think resonates to a lot of people, is it comes down to what you put in is what you get out. Hard work, right? I stood up there in front of them, and even in a terrible market, I'm still did over 60 million last year, right? And most of the guys are way lower than that. I'm telling them there's nothing magic about it, Don. Yeah. It's really not a magical thing. There's no such thing as luck. Luck is a factor of putting yourself in the right place at the right time, but keep on putting yourself in that right place. You have to persevere. You have to always be out there. It's a kind of funny joke you said in the beginning, like everybody knows Frank because he's always around.
Right.
And that's what I told my team, guys. If you're going to be successful, and the same thing with real estate agents, you just have to be out there.
Yeah.
As simple as that. If you think you're going to, sit around and things are going to fall in your lap, this is not the right market for that.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, 3 years ago, you could have sat at your desk and all the business in the world would have come to you, and that day will come again.
Yep.
But guess what? The guys who are actually trying, that is what sets them apart. That when I see a successful realtor, I see somebody who's doing $30 million a year, and I see somebody who's doing $4 million a year. The big difference is the one doing 30 is visible. He's out there. I know what he does. He asks for business. We had at a lunch and learn this week. I won't mention, but it was a broker owner who his company did $400 million in business last year, and he's sitting at my lunch and learn with 25 people at a restaurant. Does he need to do that? Hell no.
Yep.
He doesn't.
But he's out there.
He's out there. And he brought 3 of his agents to that lunch and learn. And afterwards, he told me this was the most informative lunch and learn that I've ever been to in my 30-year real estate career. And I really appreciated that feedback, especially from a guy like that. But he's a guy who doesn't have to do it, but he still does it. And that's what sets apart the success from the non-success.
Yeah, that's awesome. What do you think are some of your favorite ways to be out there, and that you've seen maybe other agents, capitalize on, that you think are most effective?
I think bringing value and education, and even to your client. For example, put my head as a real estate agent. You guys are out in the trenches, and you're trying to convince people to buy, even in a market that a lot of people think we have a recession coming or we have something negative coming. Well, you've got to have an objection, an overcome to that objection. When you get in front of your client and the client says, listen, Steve, I'm just going to wait to buy because I think housing prices are going to drop next year and I'm going to get a better deal on that house. You've got to be confident. You've got to have some data. So here's a great piece of data that I can give to all of our listeners today. When that happens and someone tells you there's going to be a recession and the prices are going to go down, the best way to explain it to them is mathematically, the universal language, right? Here it is. This stat, by the way, is 2 years old. Okay, so I know this stat is way better today, and I got this in person from Tony Robbins when I was in Michigan with the owner of UWM and the Phoenix Suns. We're in a room and we're asking him about the recession, and Tony says to us, he says, listen, guys, if you total up all the mortgages of every house in America right now, that would be roughly $9 trillion of mortgage debt. Now, if you take those exact same homes with mortgages, not all the other free and clear homes, not all the inherited homes, the ones with mortgages, they total $27 trillion of equity. Do we remember our multiplication tables back in the day? What's 9 times 3? 27.
Yeah.
3 times the equity.
Yeah.
And Don, what happened over the last 2 years? Values went up.
We spiked, yeah.
Right? We spiked. Mm-hmm. So I think it's safe to say you probably have 3.5 times the equity right now than you did 2 years ago. So the answer to your client when they're asking you to wait because they think there's going to be a recession, they're going to drop, is it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
I think personally, it's go to the other way. And all the smart guys that I network with, we all think the same thing. These rates are already coming down. Hell, we're locking 5.49% right now on FHA and VA streamlines, but you don't see it on TV.
Yeah.
Right? As soon as you see it on TV, the market is going to rip, especially in the state of Florida, and supply and demand will cause prices to go up. So I'm telling the realtors, give the math to the clients, tell them that's why we're not going to have a foreclosure crisis, because you have so much equity. People are not going to foreclose. They're just going to sell. They're going to call you up and sell their house if they get in a bind, and people will get in a bind. Yeah, There's no question. Inflation
That's
hurts.
good stuff, man. Yeah. I love it. And that's kind of an example, I guess, of the type of things that people would hear at your lunch and learns, right?
Absolutely. They're going to hear little tidbits of things that will help them sell. We're going to teach them about products. There's 100% FHA product for duplexes that people don't even know about. There's a product that you can buy before you sell. I'm big on stats, and I'm big on selling people mathematically. One thing we like to do at Lincoln Lending is when somebody is competing and they don't want to start an application, we say no problem. Just send us the estimate from the other lender. I'll show you what we can do in writing without an application. I'm not going to ask you to spend all that time.
Yep.
And if I can't win with the math, I'm not going to win.
Right?
Why bother? Yeah.
Are there certain products, Frank, that you guys bring to the table or offer that is different than other lenders that are out there?
I'd like to say all of them, yep. But the honest truth is we do try to pride ourselves in having a product literally for everybody. There's really not a loan product Lincoln Lending doesn't have, but I'm more focused on the ones that the agents don't know exist. For example, a primary residence guy who writes off all of his income. There are no income verification primary residence loans, and most agents don't know that those exist. There's a loan right now that if your client has no job, no verifiable income, no employment history, but he has enough money in the bank to buy the house cash, we have an asset-only loan that literally I'll say, hey, Don, no problem. You got the $400,000 in the bank? We'll take 20% out of that account. You can buy the house cash. Here's your interest rate, 30-year fixed. People don't know that exists. The buy before you sell product is probably the hottest thing out there right now. It's for the agents who are listing a house for somebody, and the guy needs the money from the sale to buy his new house. That's problem number one we can solve. We can give them the money on an interest-free, payment-free loan to buy that new house. And we'll take it a step further. The other issue when you're trying to buy before you sell is it's hard to qualify with 2 payments counting against you. You still have the old house, right? So you still have the mortgage. We don't count the old payment against you.
Nice.
So it's a crazy product. And for the agents who went to the lunch and learn the other day, nobody knew it existed. Yeah. So you have listed agents calling me saying, we need to talk to my seller right away. Let's go do the buy before we sell. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's knowledge.
That's good stuff. And again, how often do you usually run your lunch and learns?
Minimum every month. Our next one is going to be on February 14th. It's called the Lunch and Love. Actually, all the ladies in the room will receive a rose.
Day.
It is Valentine's Day.
Genius. Oh, there you go.
Right?
Not even around it, just on it. That's the way to plan.
Matter of fact, I told my wife I was doing it yesterday. She goes, well, why would you do that? I'm like,
well, you're invited, honey. What do you mean?
That's what I said. And all the ladies who come are going to get a rose, and so are the gentlemen. So you get to bring it home because I know you're going to forget. You're in the real estate industry. We're busy, so I'm going to give you a flower to bring home to your wife. But I did tell my wife that. She's like, why would you do that? Don't we go to lunch on Valentine's Day? I go, how about we go to dinner? Right?
That works.
What? But you're still mad at me. You know? I'm like, well, how can you be mad? You can't schedule anything on Valentine's Day. I'm like, it's a lunch and love.
I got to make some cash, then I can spend it on you when we go out that night. That's the way it works.
That's what I tell my kids, at least. Daddy, while you're working, I was like, do you see where you are? You're at Disney right now.
That's right. Exactly. We know how that is.
We do.
What are some of the radio show and the podcasts that you also are a part of? Why don't you plug them or throw them out there? Think people would be interested in.
It's so funny because I do these lunch and learns with 50 people in the room and I never even talk about it. I completely forget every time to talk about my own shows, but thanks for that, Don. The Business Happy Hour. The Business Happy Hour has been on 970 WFLA for 9 years. It's a podcast on iHeartMedia. It's an actual radio show on the 13th largest AM channel in the country. We're the biggest channel in Florida, actually. You can hear it all the way down to Sarasota, Orlando, Ocala. It's called the Business Happy Hour, the Real Biz Happy Hour. Tune into that. We also have a political podcast. Got away from that a little bit, wanted to calm down on politics, and until now we're back in the political world.
The debatable things, right? The controversial stuff.
I do, but you know what's funny, Don? And coming up to this new election, it doesn't seem very controversial that people don't want what's going on now.
Yeah, no doubt.
I don't even have to use names. Yeah. I could just say people don't want what's going on now. Which is kind of funny.
There's some appetite for some changes, I think.
I think there's some appetite for some change, for sure. So we're going to be relaunching that. It's called The Positive Patriots. It's not a negative political show. We take whatever is in the media and politics and we find the positive of that. So it's a very, very upbeat show. That's with Brad Dement.
What do you do? There's not a ton of positive when it comes to the political arena.
It actually is way harder than you think. Yeah,
I can imagine.
It is. So, you never know what happens, but we do find the positive angle somehow. I mean, your ex-president gets indicted. Somehow I find the positive in that, yes. Right? But, speaking of presidents, last night Biden spoke, and I don't know if you caught it, but there was a 14-second clip of him speaking. I don't remember where it was, but I put it all over my social media. And he literally said, interest rates are coming down and they are going to continue to come down. Okay. Now, I called this 6 months ago.
He was able to get that out, huh?
He got it out. Well, it's 14 seconds. Yeah. You know what I mean? And after that, he just stared into the camera after that. But I really did.
We just insulted half the audience, probably.
You'd be surprised.
It's all good.
Yeah, I don't know. But it's, Republican or Democrat, I think we all want the same thing. We want prosperity for our families. Amen. We want low interest rates. We want eggs to not be $8. Yeah.
I like to keep my freedom if possible.
It's just like this little side thing that we have in America. But no, he said it. And what I've been saying is that they are going to start saying that, listen, if it's political, if it's manipulated, whatever, it's a good thing for the country. So finding positive in the politics, rates coming down is good. Rates have come down a lot in the last week. What we need, Don, is we need to educate people. We need the media to say it.
Sure.
When the media starts saying it,
well, that's going to be tough because they're still stoking a lot of fear right now.
Thank you. That's exactly the problem. And when they stoke
fear,
that's
what drives media clicks. We know this.
It is click, 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 click.
Yeah.
Well, the commander-in-chief, okay, call him what you want, said it last night on national TV. So I think it's going to prompt the media to start saying it, and I think we're going to see rates continue to come down. And that's what we need. We need a stimulation in the real estate market to really turn the economy around. And the Fed did say that they're going to lower rates multiple times this year.
Yep.
I'm going to look for that to happen by February. I think we're going to see that, which brings me to the point for all of our buyer listeners. Guys, you are sitting in the best possible time to buy a house right now. And I'm not saying that the prices are the best. I'm not saying the rates are the best. What I'm telling you is when these rates come down, and the president just said they would, and they will before the election, probably sooner than later, values are going to go up. Prices are going to go up. It's simple supply and demand.
Sure.
Right now, you have very motivated sellers, and you don't have a lot of competition. So if you're a buyer, you can get seller concessions. You can negotiate a reasonable price for the house. But if you have that short of a memory and you don't remember what happened 2 years ago in COVID, remember that?
I do.
Houses sight unseen, $100,000 over listing price, no appraisal contingencies, no inspection contingencies. Do you want to buy a house with no appraisal contingency and no inspection? It's going to happen.
Was that one of the craziest markets that you've seen in your 20 plus years?
Absolutely. I think in my 20 years, I have definitely lived through the craziest of the crazy. You know, going from the crash to going to what happened in COVID. That was insane. What happened in COVID. I did not expect that. I did not, but it happened and it taught us something.
And do you think I'm assuming obviously COVID influenced the entire country, but
Totally.
Florida, I think, was impacted from a real estate perspective a little bit more uniquely because there was so much of a demand here, right? And COVID, I think, drove some of that with the political ramifications and
you think people like freedom,
regulation, all that stuff. I mean, it just drew people here, and that obviously had a huge effect on the real estate side of things. And it's hard to kind of imagine that being replicated again in some way. I guess it's doable or plausible, but it was kind of an artificial inflation almost in a way that spiked it up.
Man, you couldn't have said that better. Artificial inflation.
Yeah.
I am a firm believer that this inflation is completely artificial. I was on a text with a couple very influential people this morning, and we were talking about the effect of politics on inflation and yada, yada. And I asked them a question that was interesting. I said, all of this aside, what changed besides the president in our economy and in our real estate market? What changed to cause all of this to happen? When Trump left office and Biden took the office, what else changed? And it was crickets. We couldn't think of anything else that actually changed, right? So I have to lean to the side that the administration that is in now has a lot to do with the inflation. I think it's somewhat fake, you know, and I think nothing really materially changed. You know, people still go out and buy. Americans are still spending money. We're still going on vacations.
Sure.
You know, COVID ended, and it was the decisions that our government made after COVID ended that caused these things. When you push the rates up and you try to slow spending by raising rates, they're forgetting one important thing. Americans don't stop spending.
Yeah.
Have you ever met an American who stops spending?
No, we like to spend our money.
We like to spend our money.
No doubt.
The only time they stop spending is when they literally run out of money and run out of credit.
Run out of credit card, yes.
But once
that card is tapped, it's some banks won't keep increasing the rate for you.
But we're such a credit-driven economy.
Yeah.
Another credit card company is going to pop up and offer them something.
Yes.
They just keep doing it over and over and over. So I just don't think raising rates was the answer to slowing inflation, personally.
I get it.
But I do like, you know, whether it's real or not, I like the fact that the president is saying that things are coming down and rates have gone down.
So you're bullish on 2024, it sounds like.
I'm very bullish on 2024. I am, and I'm even more bullish about November 2024.
Yes, we got some exciting things happening.
I just would like things to go back to the way they were.
Right.
You know, it's not the politics, it's the math. It's having money in our account for our family.
Money flow a little bit easier for
money
sure.
flow.
Yeah,
you
those
know,
were good times.
in the real estate market, and I truly believe the real estate market really drives the economy more than anything. You can talk about the bond market, you can talk about the stock market. Way more people are affected by the real estate market than anything else.
Yeah.
You know.
One last question on the business side, and then we'll take a few minutes on just some more personal questions too for people to get to know you. But we talked a little bit about, to be a top producing agent, visibility is key and getting out there and being seen. I'm also curious though, Frank, if what are some distinctions you've noticed about agents who really seem to struggle getting traction in the business from your perspective, again, on a lending side? Like what are some horror stories, I guess you would say, that you've seen agents either do in a transaction that can really hinder the process versus the best side, the agents you love working with, things that they do that really makes things go smooth? Like, have you seen some distinctions there?
Absolutely. Being involved in the transaction, being involved with the lender, and communicating with the lender. I find the agents who actually communicate information to their lender and then the lender reciprocates find that their transactions are way smoother. Quick horror story. I had a good friend buying a $2 million house a few years ago, and he was a self-employed individual, and he was getting 3.99% on a 30-year fixed mortgage for $2 million. Phenomenal money, right? And he called me up one day, and he this guy loves drinking bourbon. Okay, side note, he calls me up and says, "Frank, I just got an offer for my job that instead of making $1 million, I could make $1.4 million next year. This could be great for me. What do you think?" And I told him the exact words. You can take the job, but we're 2 weeks from closing. Don't quit your other job because you're a commission employee and you won't be able to be qualified. Fast forward 8 days later, I get a call from the processor when they verified his employment that he quit his job.
Oh, no.
Right? And here's the thing, the agent knew about it. The agent was friends with him. And in that 8 days, something really terrible happened. The agent helped him negotiate with the seller to buy all the furniture in the house, something like that. And he put $100,000 additional escrow deposit and made it non-refundable.
Wow.
So he could get the furniture that was probably worth $25,000.
Wow.
So then, not only is he going to lose his
advice right there.
Right. Not only is he going to not is going to lose his contract, he's going to lose $120,000 of escrow. He's probably going to get divorced. He's not going to get this house. Like, it's going to be a terrible thing. So the advice to the agent, and by the way, I called the agent when I couldn't get in touch with him, and she's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I didn't think to tell you. I can't believe this." Communicate.
Yeah.
Communicate with your originator or with your banker or whatever. If you hear anything from your borrower, it could be like, "Hey man, I'm going car shopping." Or, hey, I'm thinking about this on employment, or I'm thinking about that. If you hear anything, communicate.
Yeah.
Tell us. She could have saved the whole deal. And it's not her fault. It's his fault. But she could have been the savior, not me. Now, in the end, we closed him on a no income verification primary loan, but he had to take 7.99% rate.
Wow.
Instead of 3.99. And then what happened to rates a few months later, because he has to wait a year to refi on a new commission job? Rates went up. So he hasn't been able to refinance yet. So it was this comedy of errors that all could have been solved by better communication. So I just say you need to be tight with your banker or broker. If you're working with somebody and they're not willing to share the data with you and not willing to converse with you about the transaction, you're working with the wrong person.
Yeah, there's got to be a team approach, having that consultant mindset that it's really you and your lending partner and your home inspector, whoever that person is, as part of a team approach that's really there to serve that client the best you possibly can.
The most successful realtors
can't have a great team without communication.
They have partners. Most successful agents have partners. They have people that they know they can pick up and ask a question to. It's not about money. It's not about I'm paying for your Zillow leads or I'm doing this and this. It's about actually being a partner with your realtor. The one other piece of advice I can give to agents is, and even if you're not going to one of my lunch and learns or my lunch and love on February 14th, is add to your repertoire, put more arrows in your quill by having more knowledge. My entire seminar that I do is based on teaching you about products that you didn't know existed. And it's not about me trying to make you a mortgage broker. It's about me asking you to help identify more buyers. You don't have to go out there and prospect more buyers. You might have more in your pipeline and you just don't know it because you don't know the products exist. That's it.
Right.
Or working with the right partner that has the products. Because once somebody tells somebody no, they can't do it, their sales get deflated, and they may never return your call as an agent, and they may never talk to a client, or a lender like me who literally can do any product for them.
Yeah, I mean, you want to be that agent out there that can help any person you come across who wants to buy a home, no matter what their financial situation might be. I mean, I'm sure there's some things that are almost impossible, but maybe not with you. But the reality is like you want to have as many tools as you can. Like it's insane not to, and not just be a cookie cutter agent, but to have those different options. So it makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
I do want to speak to the originators out there really quickly. Originators, this is a great time if you're in retail to think about a career in wholesale. You have so many more options, you have better pricing, you have better products. There is no better time for you to jump into the wholesale market. And if you would like to have a confidential conversation with me, you can text me at 813-765-1239. We won't tell anybody about the conversation, but I can introduce you to people on my team who came from retail to wholesale recently, top producers, and they're finding it's way easy to close more deals and give better deals to their clients. So this is the time to move if you're an originator. And if you're a realtor who has a great originator that you really like, introduce them to me.
Yeah.
We can only make them better.
Yeah, man, I love it. Little shout out to all the originators out there. Hope you're following our podcast as well. Tampa Bay Real Producers, learning from some of the greats like Frankie over here, Frank the Bank,
and be a partner.
So, for people who we do have openings for some more partners as well. So a couple things for people who don't know you as well, and just on the personal side. So a couple rapid fire questions. Ready?
Yeah.
Number one, do you have a favorite book or author or maybe a seminar that has made a huge impact on you, personally or professionally?
I'm not a big reader, believe it or not. I am a
favorite podcast other than your own.
Joe Rogan.
You're a Rogan guy.
I like Joe Rogan, and I like Tony Robbins, but I'm not a rah-rah walk on fire guy, but I like his energy.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I'm a toilet reader. I'm more of a Neil deGrasse Tyson. I like that. Yeah, I know. Are we all right? Try to not read these. I try to read paper on a toilet.
Well, I was always amazed by Tony's content, though. Like, it's deep. Like, he's got a lot of psychological training on just how to really how the mind works.
It works. Yeah. If you can get past the rah, which it's hard for me to do, then it does make sense. Like that simple thing he tells people about if you're having if you're in a slump, stand up. Jump around.
Totally.
He does it for a reason.
Yeah, your physiology actually makes a difference in how you digest information.
Sitting up straight, moving your arms, it makes a difference. It's freaking crazy.
I went to a lot of his events, and that was my initial thought too, was like, I'm not this huge hype guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I love energy, but at some point, for hours and hours, it's like, okay, already, But you learn, at least I did, through his events, that there's a method to the madness, and a lot of that energy is designed to get you in a certain emotional state so that you can digest information differently,
right,
and have things actually be applicable.
It's just harder for you and guys like you and I who are already very energetic,
right?
We're like, well,
to be cheered on by some dude on the stage.
We're like, dude,
as a cheerleader.
We're the cheerleaders.
Exactly. I can relate to that, no doubt. But his content is gold. There's no doubt if you follow his stuff out there. Do you have a favorite TV show or movie?
Favorite TV show of all time for me was probably 24. Kiefer Sutherland.
So you're a drama guy. Huh?
I guess so. I like action drama. And then my favorite movie, this sounds crazy. I like The Princess Bride.
Oh, it's a classic.
Remember that one?
Of course. Andre the Giant,
man. Yeah, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
Fezzik and whatever his name was.
I like the dude who's talking about, you killed my father, prepare to die.
I am Inigo Montoya. You killed my father, prepare to die.
Classic, man.
So, funny,
I watched that over and over again as a kid.
I actually read that book to my son when he was like 7 years old. One of the hardest books I've ever read in my life, just because the names and the vernacular in the book.
I've never actually read the book.
Yeah,
I've seen the movie countless times.
Thousands of times.
Right.
But,
yeah, that's old school, man. That's classic. No doubt.
I'm the only guy that's going to say that.
You're the first one who brought that up. Yes, I must say, you win the trophy for that one.
Yes! The weirdest movie.
Are you a big sports fan?
Buccaneers and Lightning.
Okay, so you're a local yokel. That makes sense.
Local yokel and Bucks. If you guys are watching, you better pull it off in Detroit this weekend.
Big week, man. And I think they got a legit shot.
I think they have a real shot.
Lions are tough, and they're playing at home, but the Bucks have a shot.
They do. And then Tampa Bay Lightning. My son Landon plays hockey, and I'm a huge Lightning fan. We've got our tickets and all that. And who would ever thought that Tampa Bay would be one of the biggest hockey cities in the country?
Tom Brady came here, became Tampa Bay, right?
That's right. Yeah. Hey, both of us, we both won in that year too.
No doubt. So, and that's unique too, in and of itself. So for people who might want to pick your brain a little bit more, because we had a little bit of a rushed podcast here today, and we're going to have you back on the show and some time to talk. And there's a lot that we can dive into even in more detail. I feel like with you, we can talk for hours. But I know you mentioned your podcast. You mentioned some of your content out there. What's an easy way for someone to find you online? Where's the best way to get in contact with you, Frank?
Love it, Don. ContactFrankTheBank.com. ContactFrankTheBank.com is a quick, easy, like kind of lead creation thing that you can go in if you want to find out information specifically about mortgages. Just go on there. Either way, I'll get the info and I can contact you whether it's mortgage related or not. And I always give out my cell phone number. It's 813-765-1239. 765-1239. Our website is 813 Mortgage. Very easy, but ContactFrankTheBank.com is the easiest thing to do, I think, to get in touch with me. And by the way, we do have another podcast called We the People with Carlos Rojas. Wow. And it's a great podcast.
My man's got a podcast for every day of the week.
Yeah.
Well, I got to step up our podcast game, man. I am with one lonely podcast. It's time to step it up, people.
Listen, Don, I practice what I preach. I tell people to be out there, and I'm out there.
I could see that, man. So, you're doing a great job of it, too.
I
got one last question for you. I call it our legacy question, and I think it makes people ponder sometimes, which I appreciate. So when you think about, at some point, when you're sitting on the rocking chair and you're kind of thinking back to what you've built, right, over your years, what do you think is going to be most important to you? Meaning, what do you think you'd want to be most remembered by, personally or professionally, when you think about what you'd want your legacy to be?
Damn, Don. You did. Oh, God, that is a ponder. I think I just want to be remembered, maybe not necessarily as Frank the Bank, but just as a guy who was always there for people and always wanted to connect people, and I always want to see people around me do better. I thrive on creating success, and I would like to be seen as the person who helped a lot of people become more successful than they thought they could be, and to not be scared to realize their dream and to work harder. And like I said in front of my team the other day, I'm not magic. I don't have anything that you guys don't have. I just put myself out there, and I'm not scared to talk. And that's what I teach my kids. Don't be scared to ask. You will never receive if you don't ask. Don't be scared to talk in front of people. And if you can master speaking in front of people and not being scared, then you can be the greatest salesman in the world. And salesmen are the highest paid profession in the world.
Yes, they are. Very true. It's something I used to teach all the time to my team as well.
Yeah.
And there's an old biblical verse that talks about ask and ye shall find, right? And so
that's exactly where I got that from.
There you go.
Yep, my grandfather told me that years and years ago.
No doubt.
And don't be a hog. Hog gets slaughtered, right? Pigs get fat.
Yeah.
Hogs get slaughtered.
Yeah, no doubt.
So take care of people.
I love it, man. Being a servant leader, which is I know what you are in your heart. And so I think that came through there with that answer. And so we're going to put a bow on this episode. And for our audience that watches live, whether it's through Facebook or through Instagram, or you're watching one of our episodes on our YouTube channel, we always end the same way, and that is with a challenge. Because if you take the time to listen to these episodes and then you don't do anything, you don't take a single action step from this, then most likely you're not really getting the maximum value out of watching these episodes. And we encourage you to take one action step from this conversation today with Frank. Maybe it's just reaching out to Frank and having a quick conversation. Maybe you got to look up one of the books or podcasts that he threw out there. Could have been one of his. He has like 18 of them. So, I mean, you can follow along with one of them. Maybe you got to have a conversation with your favorite lender about some of the products that Frank threw out there and figure out, hey, I don't know, I've never heard of this. I heard it on a podcast. Frank mentioned it. Maybe you got to talk to Frank about that product. But we kind of went over a lot of different things today. Take an action step on something that you heard that's going to move you forward professionally or personally, and you'll be much, much happier. And the value that you would have spent on this time would be worth it if you do just that. So we, of course, will see you on the next episode of Tampa Bay Real Producers. You stay classy. There, we'll see you.